What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my Week 11 NCAA football power rankings. Let's get into it here. Dropping from my rankings, Memphis obviously lost last week and kind of were one of those fringe teams that barely just got in last week. And obviously, a loss takes them out. And then the others receiving votes is a huge slew of teams. I mean, you could put Missouri in, Louisville with a big win, obviously, last week. Navy still only has one loss. They respond well. Louisiana, Raging Cajuns, one loss. South Carolina, big win last week as well. So all these teams are getting some recognition here for their good play. 25 through 21. Tulane moves up, obviously beat Charlotte, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, uh, destroyed them. So, they're playing some good football. Colorado moves up because some other teams falling. And they get a tough road game at Texas Tech. I think that's a really kind of prove it game for Colorado to see if they can be that team that can compete for a college football playoff spot at this point in the season. Pitt gets embarrassed on the road at SMU. They fall from 18 to 23. Vanderbilt is back in after their win at Auburn. 6-3, huge game for SEC implications this week against South Carolina, possibly rankings as well. And then Kansas State, shocking loss on the road at Houston. They just did not play well in this one, but it felt like it was coming, eking out close wins. So they go into a bye 7-2, still got a chance at a Big 12 championship, but Kansas State really just needs to win out if they want to probably get into the playoff. 16 through 20. And this is where you find three teams that lost last week in upsets. Iowa State suffers their first loss at home to Texas Tech, and they go to Kansas this week. So they're dropping from 10 to 17. Texas A&M, they fall from 9 to 18. Finally beat LSU, play good. Maybe it is premature that I have LSU over A&M, but that kind of performance to me shows that they didn't even show up. Like, the LSU A&M game, LSU played well in the first half, just kind of fizzled out. A&M just really wasn't in this game from the start. So they go into a bye looking to regroup out of their bye week. Clemson, they were kind of hanging around, but it wasn't pretty. They lost at home to Louisville, and that could possibly take them out of some playoff conversations. Then Washington State could enter some playoff conversations. Let's say they beat Utah State this week, which they should. 8-1, they are going to be an at-large bid team because obviously the Pac-12 is just them and Oregon State. But they're definitely a team to keep an eye on, those Washington State Cougars. 11 through 15. And I think this is the time where I'm really putting these teams up where they should be. Boise State at 11, SMU at 12. SMU 8-1, obviously playing some really good football. Boise State 7-1, playing some really good football. Boise State's only lost to Oregon, clear-cut number one team in the country. So these teams, it just feels like, they're flying under the radar. Everybody's talking about Boise State for Genty. Not really too many people are talking about SMU, and I think they will now that they just blew out Pitt, who was undefeated at the time in ACC play. They're still undefeated into their bye week. They got 3 games left, and SMU could be one of those teams that could maybe win the ACC. Maybe they're the ones that give Miami their first loss in the conference championship game, and then SMU could steal a bid from someone. So lots of good football left to be played. Then you get 2 SEC teams, Bama, Ole Miss, both move up. Ole Miss blows out Arkansas on the road. Did not see that coming. I thought Arkansas not only would cover, but upset Ole Miss, but man, was I wrong. Army, it wasn't a very pretty win, but their quarterback was missing. He didn't play in this one. Still found a way to win 20-3 against a weak Air Force team this year. And it's 8-0. Doesn't look so good, or couldn't look any better for Army right now. Hopefully their quarterback can return this week at North Texas. And, Army, just like Washington State, could be a team that could get into the playoffs just because they deserve to be there. 6 through 10. You got a few teams moving up. You got all teams moving up here except Penn State. You got BYU moving to 6, Texas moving to 7, coming out of the bye week. BYU has a tough game at Utah. It's always a tough place to play there. Texas gets Florida, who, kind of gave Georgia a run for their money last week. And Texas, is susceptible of getting upset. Vandy almost pulled it off against them. Penn State, same old, can't score on offense. The defense was the only touchdown in the game. The kicker had 7 points for himself. Defense had 6. Offense 0. Penn State's got to go back to the drawing board. They got to figure out how they can score on offense in the big games. But this team could easily wind up 11-1 and still get not only into a Big Ten championship game, but possibly into the playoffs as well. Tennessee ekes by Kentucky. They finally scored in the first half for the first time since September 27th, 28th, something like that. So it's been a while since Tennessee scored in the first half. Got by Kentucky, pulled it out late. Samson's obviously been a beast, possibly should be a Heisman candidate this year. Get a very weak Mississippi State at home, should blow them out. And then Notre Dame, they come out of the bye week against Florida State at home. Obviously the last few years it's been a great game, but this year I think the Irish should take care of them. 1 through 5. I got three Big Ten teams here at 1, 3, and 5. Oregon obviously destroyed Michigan there. The box score says it was a little worse than it was. It was really 31-17, a two-possession game all day. Georgia beat Florida, like I said, 34-20. It wasn't, blowing them out. They were down at half, but Carson Beck played yet again another awful half. Three interceptions in the first half, but he responded well, came back, played well. And they get Ole Miss this week. Ole Miss going on the road scoring 63 in Arkansas, where they've already upset Tennessee. That's going to be a good game. And I think whoever loses that game more, Ole Miss is probably going to be out of the playoff conversation and SEC championship. But then you got to bounce back. You got to go Ohio State. Wasn't dominating win, but it mattered most. The red zone defense just came through for Ohio State. Didn't let Penn State score a touchdown all game, on offense at least. And they stood tall on 4th and goal, 3rd and goal, 2nd and goal. Every time in the red zone, just Ohio State showed that they have a really good defense. And on the road going in there, I get it's a whiteout, but it's a noon game. You still got to win that game. It's a tough game. Now, they get Purdue at home, which they're favored by 38. I'm probably going to take the Purdue in 38, just because, Ohio State, they're coming down from that game, but I expect them to coast there. Miami blows out Duke. I think it was a little premature. I thought Duke would give it a little bit of a close game the way Miami has been playing, but it's good to see Miami pulling away and getting a big win. And they get Georgia Tech on the road. Could be a tough game because we've seen Georgia Tech play some really tough football this year. Indiana blows out Michigan State. They're down 10-0. Indiana was in the first quarter, scored 47 straight to close. They get Michigan at home. I think they're favored by 2 touchdowns. I expect another performance, kind of same result, honestly, out of Indiana, except this week it's at home. That's going to be it for my week 11 power rankings. Check back next week to see where your team ranks. Till next time, the Bench Buddies are out.